So we're moving right along in the book of prayer. Now we've reached this section on integrals of the prayer, including the serenity, Tuma'ninah, and some recommendations of the prayer. So what's up with this title here? Integrals of the prayer, including serenity. But the serenity is an integral, so why mention it in the title? We didn't say including Fatiha and bowing and sujood and standing and. So why serenity is here in the title? Because usually when we learn about the integrals, we say to make ruku' and then to have tuma'ninah and then to stand up and then to have tuma'ninah and then to prostrate twice and then to have tuma'ninah, etc. So it's not going to be mentioned like that, repeated like that. So Tuma'ninah is going to be talked about in the beginning here, and then we'll talk about the other integrals without saying, and then Tuma'ninah, and then Tuma'ninah. And some recommendations of the prayer, why that's here. Because this book is not following the sequence of Abu Shuja exactly. The author says, may Allah have mercy upon him, Al-Minhaj counts 13 integral obligations. That's by An-Nawawi. Al-Minhaj counts 13 integral obligations that constitute the prayer's reality. By not counting the serenity, by deeming it incorporated into other acts, that means one way to count the integrals is to say, to make ruku' and not to count the serenity or the tuma'ninah separately from the ruku', nor to count it separately from standing. Rather to say it's incorporated into the ruku', it's incorporated into the standing, it's incorporated into the sujood, it's incorporated into the sitting between the two sujoods. Then you won't count it if you want to do it this way. Because it means stopping and pausing altogether, and it means stillness after motion. That's the tuma'ninah, the serenity. Its minimum is to let all organs settle into position, such that each position is isolated from the previous position. Or its minimum is to separate one's rising from his falling, and vice versa, to separate one's falling from his rising, because you're going to go down for ruku', then come up to stand, then go down for sujood, then come up to sit, then go down for sujood. So coming up and going down, or going down and coming up, the tuma'ninah is to separate one's rising from his falling and vice versa. Therefore, moving nonstop throughout the positions is invalid. There are 14 integrals if all instances of serenity are counted as one, like how both prostrations are counted as one integral. If you learn the summary of obligatory knowledge, Sheikh tells us that the ninth integral is to prostrate twice. So that means both prostrations are counted as one integral. Or the 4 takbirs of the funeral prayer, they are all counted as one integral. When you want to talk about the funeral prayer, you can say one of the integrals of funeral prayer is to say takbir 4 times. So likewise, it's possible to say there are 14 integrals of the prayer by having tuma'ninah in 4 spots. The reliable saying, which is what we learned in the summary of obligatory knowledge, 17 integrals, counting tuma'ninah each time as a separate integral. This reliable saying matches how the obligations are listed in the hadith of Al-Bukhari. ثم اركع حتى تطمئن راكعا ثم ارفع حتى تعتدل قائما ثم اسجد حتى تطمئن ساجدا ثم ارفع حتى تطمئن جالسا. Then bow until you are tranquil in bowing. Then rise until you are erect standing. Then prostrate until you are tranquil prostrating. Then rise until you are tranquil in sitting. There are therefore 17 integrals. because the four instances of serenity are counted separately as the sixth, eighth, 10th, and 12th integrals. Two of those instances come along with long integrals, bowing and prostrating. So that means the other two come with short integrals. Al-Basir and Al-Ghazi mentioned releasing the head's natural weight in explanation of the serenity in prostration. Uh, Al-Basir, you were introduced to him here in this book we're reading. One of the explainers of Abu Shuja. And Al-Ghazi, maybe you heard of him. He has also a very basic explanation of Abu Shuja that's very beneficial for the beginners. They mentioned when they talked about the Tuma'ninah in sujood, to make sujood, and then to have Tuma'ninah. So making sujood, that's an integral. And then it needs to be explained. And then having Tuma'ninah in sujood, that's an integral and it needs to be explained. Here at this spot, these two scholars, they mentioned releasing the head's natural weight in their explanation of what this serenity is while prostrating. If that's not clear, let me know, please. And two instances of Tuma'ninah come with short integrals. It is said that rising from ruku' is a short integral, only lasting the duration. How long should it be if it's short? Only lasting the duration of saying what is reported for that position. Anything reported in that position, if you wanted to say everything that came from the Messenger of Allah to say in that position, then that's as long as you stay in that position and not longer. According to this weaker saying, prayer is invalidated by purposefully and knowingly extending this rising from ruku' as long as the Fatiha. So if you learned about long integrals and short integrals, then this is a detail that you might not have heard, but you need it. Because you'd wonder, long integral, short integral. So what if I don't stay? What if I stay in the short integral for a long time? What does it even matter? First of all, according to our sheikh, rising from ruku', it's a stronger saying to say that it's not a short integral, it's a long integral. If you take this weaker saying that it's a short integral, that means you can't stay there as long as it takes to recite Al-Fatiha. This will invalidate the prayer. And if sitting between the prostrations is a short integral, contrary to the chosen saying, because there's a hadith that mentions the Prophet staying in the standing erect position after ruku' for a long time and staying seated between the two sujoods for a long time. Therefore, it should be said that they are long integrals and not short ones. But according to saying that sitting between the prostrations is a short integral, then it cannot be knowingly and intentionally extended beyond the time needed to recite what was narrated for this position. Like we said, if you just want to say everything that was reported from the Prophet ﷺ to say in this position, say that much and not more and then move on. And it cannot be extended to the minimum, to the duration of the minimum tashahhud. Therefore, according to these being short integrals, then it is obligatory and said by Al-Basir to in fact be an integral, according to Al-Rawdah and its source manual, is succession. Succession is obligatory. And it is said that succession is an integral of the prayer. Succession means to keep going, doing one move after the next, one move after the next. So this becomes relevant if you want to take the saying that those spots that we mentioned are indeed short integrals. Because if you stay there too long, you're going to interrupt the succession, and the succession is obligatory, and some said it's actually an integral itself. Succession, according to Al-Rafi'i, it is itself to not extend the short integral. The succession would be by not extending, not lengthening a short integral. He said that following the Imam. That's Imam al-Haramain. Ibn Salah said that another example is forgetfully saying the salam. So you said the salam forgetfully. That means to end your prayer, which you didn't really mean to. Had you remembered, you wouldn't have done that. And then now you said the salam, so now you think you're out of your prayer. Now you might remember quickly, and then you just continue your prayer. But if this break here, from the time you say that salam until you remember that you shouldn't have, if it were extensive, then this will interrupt your prayer because of disrupting the succession. A third example is a long doubt about the intention. This also interferes with the succession, a long doubt about the intention. This point right here in the book of obligatory knowledge, we learned about it under the invalidators of the prayer. A long doubt about the intention is an invalidator of the prayer. Why? Because it interrupts the succession. It interrupts the prayer's form. Or a short doubt while completing an integral. Because an integral performed without firm resolve is disregarded, and therefore it is an invalidator. So to go from one integral to the next while doubting about the validity of your intention, this interrupts the succession. And Abu Shuja' mentioned 18 integrals, counting the intention to end the prayer as the 17th integral, which is unreliable. We learned the 17th integral is keeping the order. According to Abu Shuja', keeping the order is the 18th integral, and the 17th integral is to intend to end the. But this intention, the correct saying is that it's merely recommended. It's not an integral. Just like an intention for any other part of the prayer is merely recommended, meaning you make the intention to start your prayer, yes. You're going to learn all about the intention. And as long as you don't do something to invalidate your intention is valid, and then you pray. Meaning you could even forget about the intention. Yeah, you might even forget about the intention. Your prayer is still going to be valid because you did not invalidate the intention. We're saying here, it's not an integral to make the intention to end the prayer. It's only sunnah to make the intention to end the prayer, just like it's only sunnah to make the intention for any other part of the prayer. Meaning, if you, while praying, and you already have your valid intention that makes the prayer valid in the first place, your valid intention that enables the prayer to initiate, you already have that, then it's going to be sunnah for you to intend to make ruku' and to intend to stand up and to intend to make sujood, etc., etc. So likewise, it's only going to be a sunnah to intend to end the prayer, just like any other part of the prayer. However, according to this saying that Abu Shuja' mentioned, which we don't rely on, but we're just now elaborating and going into details. According to this saying, if one were to take it, but he shouldn't. It is obligatory like the intention with the takbir. The intention to end the prayer would be obligatory like the intention with the takbir. Because it is the phrase that is said at the other end of the prayer. Like Allahu Akbar is the phrase at the beginning of the prayer. Assalamu alaikum is the phrase at the end of the prayer. And saying it without an intention to end the prayer invalidates the prayer, just as intending to end the prayer without the salam invalidates the prayer. Alhamdulillah. Now, we're just about a half hour in, a little less actually, but I don't want to start this section on the intention. I want to start this section on the intention from the top. So let's have a brief lesson tonight, inshallah ta'ala. If you have any question I can answer for you, feel free, please.
I have a question.
Yes.
I remember learning that if you say Assalamu alaikum, then your prayer is ended no matter what.
That's
Is that
correct.
not true?
That's correct.
So
It is.
even if it was unintentionally?
No. Yani, a person might say Assalamu alaikum because he forgot. So, not talking about that.
Okay.
Like what happened to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam when he prayed 2 rakats for a 4 rakat prayer because he forgot. And then when he remembered, he just stood to complete the rest of his prayer, even with talking in between. So, not there.
Okay. Thank you.
Well,
Assalamu alaikum. Hey, Chef, I learned that if you uh made a mistake in a prayer or for forgetfulness, you salam out one time and then you make do tajas. Did you is that correct?
if you make a mistake in the prayer, it depends on what the mistake is. This case has details, and it's going to have its own lesson, inshallah ta'ala, because it has details. So, not any mistake, not every time a person makes a mistake. If you make a mistake that would invalidate your prayer, then you're going to do it. Like you were praying a 4 rakat prayer, and then you only prayed 2 or 3, and then you sat for tashahhud because you thought you did 4. And then you remembered that, no, I still have more. So you caught yourself there and you stood up to pray. So you fixed your prayer here. But had you not fixed your prayer, you actually would have invalidated your prayer. You would have done, you were doing something that would invalidate your prayer. Then before you say the salam, don't say salam once. This is Shafi'i school. Before you say the salam, you prostrate twice for forgetfulness, and then you say your salam. Or if you don't do some things that you were commanded to do, like the first tashahhud and dua ul kunut in Fajr prayer, then you make 2 sujuds before salam, for any salam. So what I just told you right now, that's extreme summarization.
Okay, because I had learned it both the
Yeah.
ways you just explained. So I was wanted to make sure if I planned out and it was in um as you said
I'm sorry, I don't hear you very well.
oh, I'm sorry. No, I had learned it the way you had said to do the sujood before the salam
Yes.
once, and I've learned that if it was a rakat or something you missed, the salam to the right, then do the two
This
sujood.
if that's valid, it's not Shafi'i school.
Okay, all right, that's a clarification I needed. Jazakallah.
Or Ameen wa iyyakum.
Sheikh Ryan, I wanted to ask you.
Yes. Or if it is Shafi'i school, then it's not what we're going by. Because I haven't learned everything in Shafi'i school.
Mm.
So what I'm telling you now is definitely correct. That is, when you're going to do sujood sahu, you don't say any salam in the Shafi'i school. I did learn that some said that sujood of forgetfulness is between the 2 salams. But I don't know according to whom and what's their details there. Yes, sister, go ahead, please.
Yes, if one forgot and they slammed down, but after they slammed down, they recognized they didn't fix what they needed to fix in one of the rakats, and it occurred to them, can they go back and just intend to fix it, intend that prayer to fix it, or what is their situation? Because one had said some.
Yes, if a person, sorry to cut you off, if a person knows that you're saying fix, but I'm going to use this word incomplete. If he knows that his prayer is incomplete,
Yeah.
he said the salam, then he realized his prayer is incomplete. then he can just act like he never said the salam and he completes his prayer. Yani, but without a long pause in between. From the time he said the salam till the time he realized has to be short. So I cut you off. If you want to follow up, go ahead, please.
No, understood very well. Understood. Now, in that same scenario, if someone else saw something and they said, you need to, no, I'm going to leave that out. That's complicated. But Barakallahu fikum, Sheikh
I mean,
Riley,
Wafikum,
for
you don't
your
take somebody else's word in your prayer like that anyway.
Barakallahu
Somebody
for your
said, for example, if you prayed some number of rakats and then you're not sure if you prayed 4, then you need to stand up to pray another rak'ah because you're not sure you prayed 4. If it's a 4 rakat prayer and you don't know, did you pray 3 or 4? Then you need to stand up to pray a 4th rak'ah. So what if somebody said to you, no, sit back down. This is your 5th rak'ah. You don't take his word for it unless he reminded you. I mean, he actually made you remember. But if what he's saying to you, you have no recollection of it whatsoever, then you don't take his word for it. You continue according to your own recollection of your prayer.
Barakallahu fikum. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, Obi. Even if it was a group of people, you go by your own recollection. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.